This is Johanna Carroll, host of Dialogue with Divinity on the X-Zone Broadcast Network. While walking along Kaanapali Beach in Maui this past year, I kept discovering all these shells and coral in the shape of hearts. My dialogue with Divinity was very simple. Do you want me to do a retreat to heal people's hearts in Maui next year? And of course, the answer was yes. As a master spiritual teacher, I am offering you a neat retreat called Rise, May 8th through the 12th, 2017, and the chance of a lifetime to rest at a 5-star resort for 5 days and experience a spiritual renewal of your heart and soul. Kaanapali is one of the top 5 beaches in the world. This stunning resort has undergone a $40 million renovation. I walked the entire property, checked out the room choices on your behalf, and I must say it is stunning. Our conference room faces the ocean with sliding glass doors. Maui is known as Mother Maui because it is a soft, gentle, healing energy. In the embrace of Mother Maui, you will feel yourself rising from the limitations of an ordinary life to an extraordinary journey of peace, bliss, and harmony. A greater sense of clarity. Our Rise retreat ignites renewal in the sacred elements of air, water, earth, fire, and wind. There's plenty of free time to enjoy all that Maui has to offer. A small deposit is required now to reserve your space, as this retreat, it will sell out. For more details, please go to johannacarroll.com and register today. Aloha, and I'll see you in mystical Maui.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Hi everybody, this is Johanna Carroll. You are listening to Dialogue with Divinity on the X-Zone Broadcast Network. And the intention of Dialogue with Divinity is to really bring you the wisdom keepers of our time. For over 30 years, I've been a spiritual counselor, author, radio, and TV host, and I've been extremely privileged and blessed to meet some really fabulous people. And our guest today, obviously, is one of them. So if you've ever wondered about past lives and how they affect your decisions today, make sure you keep listening to this show. We're going to be talking to Mira Kelley. She is a world-renowned expert on past life regression, and she is the best-selling author of Beyond Past Lives. She facilitates workshops, retreats, individual consultations, and speaks around the world, promoting the healing and transformation available through regression. Stories from Mira's sessions are included in Wishes Fulfilled by Dr. Wayne Dyer and in Miracles Happen by Brian Weiss. She also can be found on Oprah.com as she was a guest on that show. Learn more about Mira and how you can get her work with her at her website at www.mirakelley, that's MiraKelley.com. So Mira, welcome to Dialogue with Divinity.
Hello, Johanna. I'm so happy to be with you. I always love our conversations.
I know, you're one of my favorite guests. So I'm going to tell the world something that you told me a long time ago, and it really blows my mind because the way that Mira really got launched onto the world stage was she had to convince Dr. Wayne Dyer to let her do a past life regression. And I know that he talked about this a lot and eventually invited you to co-present with him on that world stage. So you've got to tell our listeners, because it's an interesting story. How the heck did you get this to happen?
I have to tell you, it was truly inspiration and guidance from Spirit, because before reaching out to Dr. Dyer, I did not know him personally, nor did I have friends who knew him personally. For me, he was just a TV show I've seen on PBS or a book I've read. You know, there was no personal connection.
Right.
But during a conversation with a friend, I had this moment of inspiration and intuition that Wayne Dyer was ready to heal from the leukemia he had publicly announced at that time he had. And so my friend encouraged me to reach out. And of course, I was very shy about it because at that time I was working as an attorney. And so eventually, after a whole lot of battling with my own sense of inadequacy around this, you know, not feeling like I have anything much to offer, I decided that if there is a way for me to help and if Spirit is ready to work through me, I should show up, right? I should be of service.
Definitely.
And lo and behold, I did reach out, and Dr. Wayne Dyer responded back. And not only did him and I connect the life-changing session that he writes about in his book Wishes Fulfilled, but also that affected his health tremendously. At the time of his death, the autopsy of his body showed that there was no leukemia in his body.
Wow.
So that was one miracle him and I created together through our work together. But also at the same time, I was able to introduce someone who had subsequently become a very close friend, both of him and I, Anita Morjani. And so through our conversation and through me introducing Anita to him, now Anita Morjani is able to inspire the world with her miraculous story of healing her stage 4 cancer through having a near-death experience.
That's amazing. I have to tell you I don't think I've ever told you this, but about 35 years ago, before I even really started my private practice of counseling, I decided that I needed a past life regression because I had some stuff that was kind of bothering me. I'd been through a really not a very pleasant divorce, and I thought, you know, I need to find out why in the moment I am acting a certain way. So I thought, okay, let me do this. And so I actually experienced 2 past life regressions myself and answered so many questions for me. And I always feel that this is not necessarily going back and discovering if you were Cleopatra or something like that, but really the benefit for me personally, and I hope everyone with past life regression, it really helps you understand now in the present moment why you may be reacting to something, and did it really belong to then, or, you know, does it belong to now? So just very quickly, I want to have everyone understand that when someone does a past life regression, they're really trying to focus on their purpose in the present moment. And I know, Mira, you talk a lot about this whole journey of discovery of purpose that people are really seeking. Can you add to that?
Oh, most definitely. So the beauty of past life regression is that you can address any question that you have. You mentioned the question of purpose, and you gave your example of how you are looking to understand the situation with your former partner. And so I love regression because it goes to the core of whatever the question is, be it a romantic relationship, be it a health issue like Dr. Wayne Dyer, be it a bigger question of emotional issues and struggles, physical issues, whatever the problem, we can use past life regression to understand the pattern, to see it from a different point of view, and so that the mind can see the bigger.
This is Kevin Randall. For nearly 30 years, I have been investigating the case of the Roswell UFO. I have interviewed hundreds of people and stood on the crash site. Now in Roswell in the 21st century, I have reviewed dozens of hours of audio and videotaped interviews, examined hundreds of files that relate to the crash, and have returned to Roswell in an attempt to put all that information into the proper perspective. For the first time in Roswell in the 21st century, I have made a dispassionate reevaluation of all that material and provide a new look at what happened. This is a book that clears away all the clutter that has hidden the truth for so long, strips away the various lies that surround the case, exposes the Air Force attempts at cover-up, and found a core of solid information that tells us all where the case stands today. Roswell in the 21st century will be available in just a few weeks. For more information, please visit my website at www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com.
Gibbs A. Williams, Ph.D., is a practicing psychoanalyst, supervisor, researcher, and author in New York City. Much of his life has been dedicated to understanding nature and the uses of meaningful coincidences or synchronicities. His radical and original non-Jungian, non-mystical, non-magical theory of synchronicities illuminates much of the fog surrounding this challenging and perplexing topic. His ideas and manners are fresh, presented in a style that is both entertaining and highly informative. He is also an expert on crisis intervention, specially focused on violence reduction for the police and citizens, mastering anxiety, frustration, and stress without the use of medication, and effectively preventing and treating heroin addiction. Dr. Williams can be contacted at his email address at gwwilliamsny11@aol.com or visit his website at www.drgibbswilliams.com.
This is Johanna Carroll, host of Dialogue with Divinity on the X-Zone Broadcast Network. While walking along Kaanapali Beach in Maui this past year, I kept discovering all these shells and coral in the shape of hearts. My dialogue with Divinity was very simple. Do you want me to do a retreat to heal people's hearts in Maui next year? And of course, the answer was yes. As a master spiritual teacher, I am offering you a neat retreat called Rise, May 8th through the 12th, 2017, and the chance of a lifetime to rest at a 5-star resort for 5 days and experience a spiritual renewal of your heart and soul. Kaanapali is one of the top 5 beaches in the world. This stunning resort has undergone a $40 million renovation. I walked the entire property, checked out the room choices on your behalf, and I must say it is stunning. Our conference room faces the ocean with sliding glass doors. Maui is known as Mother Maui because it is a soft, gentle, healing energy. In the embrace of Mother Maui, you will feel yourself rising from the limitations of an ordinary life to an extraordinary journey of peace, bliss, and harmony. A greater sense of clarity. Our Rise retreat ignites renewal in the sacred elements of air, water, earth, fire, and wind. There's plenty of free time to enjoy all that Maui has to offer. A small deposit is required now to reserve your space, as this retreat, it will sell out. For more details, please go to johannacarroll.com and register today. Aloha, and I'll see you in mystical Maui. Hi, everybody. This is Johanna Carroll. You are listening to Dialogue with Divinity, and today we were speaking with Mira Kelley, who is the author of Beyond Past Lives, and we are talking about past life regression. And so before we went to break, we were talking about the fact and the value that past life really helps you redefine your purpose in a brand new way. Why do you think, Mira, that so many people really have this burning desire to know about their life purpose? Why is that important or valuable?
Because it's the fulfillment of our value as souls here on earth, right? We're given the right and the responsibility as a soul to be gods in the physical, to create, to manifest, to use our mental energy, which is simply thoughts and emotions, to create our experiences. And so we're all having this burning desire within our hearts to fulfill that which is us, to put it out, to manifest it, and through our creation to know more of ourselves, to experience more of ourselves. So truly, I believe that is the reason why it is the biggest question we all have. What is my purpose?
Do you think that the purpose really has to do significantly with their spiritual mission, or are they two different things?
When people ask me what is my purpose, I give people the inner and the outer answer. So the inner answer, much like we speak about the inner mystery and the outer mystery, the inner answer goes to the simple fact that we are all here as souls in order to learn to manipulate mental energy, in order to learn to be in control of our thoughts and our emotions, which sounds easy, but if we actually try, it requires focus and effort and truly overcoming our limitations, our limiting perceptions of ourselves, in order to create the experiences that we're looking for. So I believe that's the inner answer, why each one of us is here. We all have as a soul that common shared goal. And now from there on, how we express that in the world is unique for each and every one of us, because we have different gifts, different skills, different talents and abilities. And so the outer answer to the question of what is my purpose is to be your true self, to express that which is you in the physical, to be the puzzle piece that you were made and created by the divine to be, in order to support all that is around you, to serve it and to be served by it.
I get asked this question lots of times too in my private practice, and maybe my answer is a little more simplistic, but I always say, you're here to experience life as a human being. And as a spiritual being, you're here to be inspired and motivated by the divine. And when we listen to that inner voice, as you're saying, the inner mystery, tapping into that inner consciousness of the eternal universe, and be inspired, and then be motivated to do something, we really have the ability and the experience to change something about ourselves, and then therefore, change our lives. So when you talk about the inner mystery, will you tell our listeners a little bit more about what you're referring to? What is really that wealth of information that's going to be found in that inner mystery? And do you find it by doing past life regression?
By the way, I really love your answer. I really love it. So well said, so beautifully put together and expressed. When people come and do a past life regression with me in order to understand their purpose, I use a regression in a way to give them two answers. Right. The first answer is, what is my purpose? What are the skills? What are the talents? What are the abilities? Because, Johanna, so many people are stopped at that very first step, but what do I have to offer? Poor me, I've got nothing to offer. Or have been so disconnected from listening to that inner voice that they just don't hear anything, and devalue it very quickly for it to make any sense to them. And so that's one of the things we explore, how in other lifetimes they have contributed and how that relates to who they are and how they contribute in this life. And something else that I do with people also when they question what are here they to do on earth is to help them explore the blocks to living their purpose, because sometimes people do know what is their purpose, but there's fears. So just today I work with a lovely woman who was saying, I have so much to offer and I am a writer. That's what I do. And I have been procrastinating on writing my own book, and there's so much I can share and tell people, but it's very easy to be the writer that stands behind somebody's name like a ghostwriter, and so much harder to have my name on a cover, imagine on a cover of a book. And so she explored a lifetime where she saw herself being very much scared of people, what people could do to her, right? What is the danger of actually being seen and being recognized?
Sure.
And releasing that block gave her such a sense of freedom and ease, and such a sense of knowing, this is a different lifetime. Of course I'm safe. Of course I can create what I'm looking to create, and the divine will support me in that. So that's the second way we work with people, to remove whatever blocks for each and every one of them stands in the way.
I have to ask you a question. This is Johanna Carroll. For those of you that just sort of tuned in, we're speaking to Mira Kelley. She is one of the top experts in the world on past life regression, and her book is Beyond Past Lives. You really need to check it out. And you are listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network. So, Mira, to me, passion and purpose always go together. So your example, this woman, you really lit the fire under her passion. What about you? I mean, for those of you that listened to the introduction in the beginning, Mira was an attorney. So how did you go from being, an attorney in the outer world, servicing that world, to igniting your own personal passion for doing past life regression and being an expert? I mean, I'm really curious. How do you go from, A to Z? How did that happen for you?
It was quite a jump, right? And
Yeah.
so it wasn't a very easy jump for me. I had quite a lot of questions of whether I could do this work, whether there's any value in me serving the world through this, and so on and so forth. But the way I came into past life regression was when I was a kid. I experienced my very first regression. I was a teenager. It was truly profoundly impactful, and it gave me such a deep understanding of my purpose as a soul, my understanding of who I am. And coincidentally, it removed my fear from dying. I didn't expect that, but lo and behold, seeing how your spirit leaves the body was quite an experience. And as you can imagine, that stayed with me. And years later, when I developed a very painful physical condition that was not improving through the traditional methods offered by my healthcare practitioner, after a whole year of struggling and trying, I was told you either need to have a very painful operation, painful surgery, or you need to learn to live with chronic pain. And so I chose, I in my desperation, I remember doing a past life regression, and I decided, why not? And that regression actually healed me literally overnight. The next morning, after experiencing another lifetime that very much related to my health challenge at that time, the next morning, the pain was gone. And that allowed me to open up to the possibility of maybe I can serve the world through this. But then, it took a few years for me to actually really trust that calling. And I'm glad I did.
I think people always need proof, whether you want to call it scientific, empirical proof or whatever. People want to know, if I do this, can I have a sign? Can it be validated somehow that I'm on the right path? And obviously for you really had, your experience was literally physical. I think mine was more emotional than anything else, but also with physical and emotional release, there's a tremendous amount of lightness that comes along with that. And of course, I think we're releasing a tremendous amount of fear. So first of all, bravo to you. You and I have a very similar story. We've talked about this before. I made the leap of faith from corporate America. I know for me, my first client, I think the universe just shoved them in front of my face and said, here it is. And, for you took the leap of faith, and then you really pursued Wayne Dyer's professionally. It was just like mind blowing to me. So bravo to you for doing that leap of faith. fear is such a paralyzing energy. Do you think, in your experience with people that are coming to you, these blocks that you're talking about, is it virtually blocks of fear? Can you give us a few little minutes on that?
Absolutely, I agree with you. And we dress it differently. Everybody has a different fear, right? A different experience of it. But its core, it is fear. And it's the fear of the unknown, the fear of becoming something else, the fear of shedding the old you and becoming a new you. And I always tell people, this fear that you're experiencing is not bigger than you. Fear is just a messenger. It's your higher self, your inner self, the divine speaking to and saying, if you move through this false perception that you've created of yourself and of life and what's possible for you, on the other side of it, there is going to be that Garden of Eden, that extraordinary experience that will feel so blissful, so joyful, so fulfilling. So go for it. And that's the reason why in our bodies physically fear feels much the same like excitement. It's the same energy just being filtered, the same message from the divine just being filtered through negative perceptions or a clear filter of the possibilities. And so because of that, I always tell people, go for it. I love this Joe Dispenza quote. He says, the unknown has never betrayed me. In other words, if you allow yourself to step forward and work through whatever's holding you back, use past life regression to work through what's holding you back and trust that there will be something else on the other side of this bridge that you're crossing, and there will be a greater light, that lightness that you're talking about, Johanna.
Mm-hmm. One of the greatest teachings, of course, is in the Bible, when Jesus was tempted by the devil. And so, the saying, metaphysically, the translation on that is, when you look the devil in the eye, he'll disappear. Begone, Satan. So Satan is considered in many teachings to be the lower energy, the lower vibration, which is fear. So it's kind of like, the simple teaching is, when you look fear directly in the face, when you face your own fears, it no longer has dominion over you. It no longer has power of you. And it basically does dissipate. And then you're not so frozen or paralyzed. So we want to talk a little bit about, we're going to go to break in a little bit. So I'm just giving you fair warning. For those of you that are listening, this is Dialogue with Divinity. We're on the X-Zone Broadcast Network. This is Johanna Carroll. We're speaking to Mira Kelley. She's really known internationally for her work for Beyond Past Lives, which is her amazing book, which you can find on Amazon.com. And let me tell you again where her website is. It's real simple. It's her name. It's Mira, MiraKelley.com. And the X-Zone Broadcast Network, I just want to say, has a wonderful, wonderful library of shows that are available to you. So you can find that on xzbn.net. So we were talking in the beginning about passion and purpose and the blocks, which we know are fear and false perception. So very quickly, do people come to you with a false expectation that they're going to discover that they were someone famous in another lifetime? Has that happened?
I have to tell you, actually hardly
You know what?
ever.
We're going to hold that thought, Mira. We're going to go to break. We'll be right back.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money and abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right, transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
While science pursues fact, magic accesses the quantum level, bridging random facts to form truth. As long as science and magic remain separate and polarized, the truth cannot be known. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka. Join me on the Science of Magic radio program, dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. During each episode, I'll be speaking with experienced and respected scientists and mystics. From astrologers to astronomers, from medical doctors to shaman, the scientific method to dowsing and intuition, we'll weave together information from seemingly divergent practices to promote unity and enlightenment. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic right here on the Mutual Broadcast Network. For more information, visit www.thescienceofmagic.net.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Hi, everybody. It's Johanna Carroll. Welcome back to Dialogue with Divinity, and we're speaking with Mira of Beyond Past Lives. So if you've ever been curious about past life regression, who you were in another lifetime, and what that has to do with your life right now, please listen to this show and go to Mira's website, which is mirakelley.com. So before we went to break, Mira, we were talking about, are there any false expectations? Someone comes to you, past life regression, they're really excited about it, and they think that maybe they were this famous person, and then they find out they were maybe a milkmaid in the country, or they really did have a good life. What are you seeing with that? What's the experience been for a lot of the people that you work with?
You know, most people actually, just like you said, have experiences of other lifetimes where they have very regular and normal lifetimes. And if a person comes with an expectation, I always make sure to tell them, listen, leave those outside, because you will always be given what will serve you in your highest good. Mm-hmm. And so people are always actually very open and very good about doing that. So I love how you phrased the question, but truly hardly ever happens.
You know, I have to tell you, when I lived in Sedona many, many years ago, I was contacted by MTV. And after I had my own experience of past life regression, I had clients that started asking for it. And I thought, well, then I better get trained in this. You know, I listen to what the universe tells me to do. So I did. I went out and got some training. And so MTV called up, and I'm not sure if you remember the rock group called Guns N' Roses.
Sure.
Okay. So anyway, the guy who was the head of Guns N' Roses, and of course right now that totally escapes me what his name was. Oh, Axl Rose. Okay. So
That's
Axl
right, yeah.
Rose had come to Sedona, and he'd had a past life regression, and apparently it really changed his life. I'm not sure it changed it to make him a better rock and roll star, but it definitely changed his life on a personal level. So MTV was really curious about this. So they called me, and they came. It was kind of fun with a whole crew. And the first thing that the host says to me, "I don't believe in this." And I said, "Okay, you don't have to." So I said, "Are you at least open and receptive?" And so we did this regression outside in a garden over a bed of crystals. So that within itself, I knew he was going to feel something, if nothing. Anyway, it was really amazing what he experienced. And, after we were through and they recorded the whole thing, he kind of sat up and he said, "Did that really happen?" And I said, "You have to tell me. That was your experience, not mine. You reported to me what was going on." And he didn't quite know what to do with that. He was kind of shocked. So I guess I'm wondering, how do you handle the naysayers that say, "I'm going to do it, but I'm not sure I really believe in it"? Have you ever had that happen?
I say pretty much the same thing to people. I tell them, "How do you feel about it?" And inevitably, there's always, the question of, "Oh my God, could it have been this amazing?" Right, for those people.
Yeah.
But inevitably, they go to the emotions. Wow, these were real emotions. Like, look at the tears. They're still, my face is still wet from the tears. Or the other answer I give to people is, all potential and possibilities exist in the quantum field. All lifetimes and all experiences are out there for you. So what you do during these processes, during regression, is you tap into this awareness, this knowledge. And it's not your imagination that is picking it up, out of the power of your great mind being able to imagine this. It's really that you're just becoming aware of it for a first time. And so there's always a sense of relevancy, right? And so that's why I tell people, rather than asking, "Is this real?" just ask yourself, "How is this relevant?" And it's always relevant. What people experience always gives them an answer, always gives them a piece of information that allows them, that unlocks them so they can move forward.
A lot of people, I like what you spoke about, potential and possibilities, because even in doing a spiritual intuitive session for someone, so you're tapping into that quantum field that you mentioned of the divine plan where all information is stored in the Akashic Library. And there are some things in the divine plan that are, I refer to them as absolutes. Some people say it's fate or destiny. It's going to happen. And yet, in your co-authoring, all of us co-authoring our own divine plan or our own script, we did leave room for free will choice. And that's where the potential, the possibilities, and the probability. And then the universe says, "Okay, through regression, through a session, whatever, we're going to give you a glimpse into the divine. The rest of it is up to you. Now you can sit on your hands and do nothing, or you can apply the law of action." So do you ever get any follow up or follow through feedback from people that say, "Based on my regression, this is what I've done and this is how my life has changed"? What's your feedback been? I would imagine it's pretty fabulous.
It really is. I love it when I hear back from people and who tell me this is the physical condition I healed. This is how I was able to release the challenges with my father or with my mother. And look what an amazing relationship we have. Or I was finally able to sort out the relationship with my former partner and put an end to this back and forth we've been having. In other words, I truly, whatever their question is, they come back and they say that this is really amazing. I'm so grateful, and that makes my work so enjoyable, because it's truly the ability to witness people changing and making better choices, right? More empowered choices in their lives. That gives me such a deep sense of meaning and fulfillment.
Mm-hmm. For those of you that are listening, if you've ever had the sense on a behavioral level or experience in life that you keep hitting the repeat button, you keep doing it over and over again. We all know what the definition of insanity is, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Well, that's not going to happen. So the value, as I stated initially when we started the show, Mira, for me personally, and I think for most people, is it really is an aha moment, like, oh my gosh, this is why I react a certain way. This is why I behave a certain way. It's an old memory that I have an opportunity to review. I'm holding these emotional memories in the DNA of my body, and I have the ability now to move through it and beyond it. So I'm not stuck on the repeat button, repeat button, repeat button. So why do you think, we talked a little bit about the law of action, instead of people sitting on, some people really are adverse to change. They're comfortable with chaos. They really are. They're comfortable with chaos, but I don't think most people want to be suffering. So in order to go from the repeat button and doing the past life regression, why is applying the law of action really important? And everyone that's listening, I want you to really pay attention to this. Why is that important to do something different?
This ties in with what you earlier said about insanity so well, because another word we have for that repeat situation is karma, right? People feel that they're victims of past energies, so past lives, and so they feel that there's this bigger hanging dark cloud over them that they cannot overcome. So it's not that somebody's sitting in heaven and keeping tabs on how well you do in life, and hopefully in your past life you didn't create too much karma, hopefully in the next life you learned a little more. It's not like that. Karma is really the opportunity to balance, the opportunity to do things differently, right? The opportunity to be actually awake in the moment of driving the train of your life, the vehicle of your life forward, and be fully alert with the choices you're making, and fully alert with the situation and where that will take you. And we experience the same in this life, right? In our present life, the same repetitive pattern around relationships, around money, around work. And all it takes is the awareness of saying, wait a minute, I understand the pattern. I understand how it connects with other lifetimes, past, future. I understand what is the bigger vision, but I also understand that my action is what determines the way forward, right? Like we were speaking earlier about free will. So the ability to choose and the ability to act makes it so critical for us to be fully alert and fully aware, and not allow even a single thought slip by our awareness without being the thought we actually want to offer, because that's what brings the experiences back to us as mirrors, right? Back to show us what is it that we're putting out.
Yeah, and I think, I say this a lot, that people that show up in our lives, they are a reflection of your own divinity. So your own divinity doesn't mean you flying around on the cloud eating chocolates and everything is perfect. Your own divinity is, as you talked about, we live in these dimensions of spiritual, mental, emotional, physical. So your own divinity is going to reflect the high points and the low points. And so you have an opportunity, like I always say, look, you can give yourself a karmic kick in the butt, or the universe will give it to you. And so you have an opportunity to move out of that victimization, poor me, nothing's good in my life, there aren't any good men out there, that whole script from the Piscean age, into tremendous awareness and value in the Aquarian age, which is about love, wisdom, compassion, and understanding. It's not for anyone else. You've got to start with self-love and self-awareness first. And so that journey down into the soul through regression really allows you to do it in a very safe and secure environment. So let me ask you another question, and then we are going to take a quick break. By the way, this is Johanna Carroll. You are on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, and we are listening to Mira Kelley talking about Beyond Past Lives. What inspired you to write your book?
The incredible experiences I had with clients. I learned so much from my clients. I feel like I'm on the edge of consciousness, unfolding into new dimensions every day.
And so the book can be found on your website and also Amazon.com. Is that right?
Truly anywhere people buy their books. Absolutely. Very easy to find.
Yeah. So really and truly, people, all you have to do is type in Mirakelley, and you're going to find Mira Kelley all over the internet. So before we go to break, I think that all of this desire, this quest, this journey is to rediscover not just our divinity, but what we are made from, which is love. And I think a lot of people feel that they're going to find that through another person or an experience or an event. So this journey of love into past life regression is a journey of discovery. Why don't people feel now, just really quickly, before we go to break, why don't they feel that they have the love and the support they really need?
Because they need to open up to their own worthiness.
That's interesting. When you say worthiness, does that mean how they value themselves or how they think the world values them?
It's both, isn't it? And allowing for that lovability to be reflected back once they own their worthiness.
I always say that love pours the soul into the body. And it's the Scotch tape of heaven and the Velcro of the universe. It's a state of being. It's a state of divine wholeness. It really has nothing to do with another person. Yet, hopefully when someone is doing a past life regression, they understand that they're going to discover that well of health and well-being for themselves. We're going to take a really short break. This is Johanna Carroll. You're listening to Dialogue with Divinity, and we'll be right back. As host of Dialogue with Divinity, I am thrilled to join the X-Zone Broadcast Network and their growing number of affiliates. My quest for a connection to the divine ignited my successful career path as an international spiritual counselor for over 40 years, an author of 4 books, and well-known metaphysical educator. My clients call me their spiritual mama. So my job is to offer you a radio show to help you grow spiritually with wisdom and get specific tools from guests who are experts in their field. Tune in to Dialogue with Divinity and be part of the conversation with Spirit. My goal, your happy soul. For more information, please visit my website at johannacarroll.com.
Coming soon to the X-Zone Broadcast Network is A Different Perspective with me, Kevin Randall, as your host. We'll be taking a close look at what is happening in the world of UFOs today with side trips into the paranormal. Guests will range from those who are household names to those who have a different perspective on a variety of topics. No topic will be taboo, but there will be tough questions asked as we all search for the truth about UFOs, the paranormal, and those things that excite us. Sometimes we'll agree with a guest and sometimes we won't, but we'll try to keep the program topical. For those of you who like to read, be sure to visit www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com and remember to listen to the other fine programs on the X-Zone Broadcast Network at www.xzbn.net. This is Kevin Randall. For nearly 30 years, I have been investigating the case of the Roswell UFO. I have interviewed hundreds of people and stood on the crash site. Now in Roswell in the 21st Century, I have reviewed dozens of hours of audio and videotaped interviews, examined hundreds of files that relate to the crash, and have returned to Roswell in an attempt to put all that information into the proper perspective. For the first time in Roswell in the 21st Century, I have made a dispassionate reevaluation of all that material and provide a new look at what happened. This is a book that clears away all the clutter that has hidden the truth for so long, strips away the various lies that surround the case, exposes the Air Force attempts at cover-up, and found a core of solid information that tells us all where the case stands today. Roswell in the 21st Century will be available in just a few weeks. For more information, please visit my website at www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com.
Afterlife expert Roberta Grimes was the first one to say that dying can be fun. Now her best-selling book, The Fun of Dying, is available in stores worldwide. So if you wonder whether death ends life, how it feels to die, or what heaven might be like, The Fun of Dying was written for you. And if you have always been afraid of death, or if you worry that your life has no meaning, let The Fun of Dying ease your fears and bring new meaning to your life. Nothing said in The Fun of Dying is based on the teachings of any religion. Instead, Roberta draws on evidence to explain how death happens, how it feels, and what comes next. A lot of the best death-related evidence was produced in the first half of the 20th century. When it is put together with recent discoveries, it tells a consistent and amazing story. Roberta Grimes blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com. Her wonderful book, The Fun of Dying, is available on Amazon and at stores worldwide wherever books are sold.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. It's Johanna Carroll, host of Dialogue with Divinity. We're going to wrap up our show today with Mira Kelley, who's really an international world expert on past lives. And her book is Beyond Past Lives. So we really encourage you to go on the internet and check it out. It's filled with amazing, amazing information and stories. Why do you think, Mira, we're talking about love before, so we know that the polarities are in the extremes, love and fear. Why do people hesitate? And have you ever actually had the experience of someone coming in and the past life regression didn't click? It didn't work on some level?
It very rarely does it happen for a person not to have the experience. And usually it has to do with expectation because they're simply so excited about it and so much needing for it to work. And so it happens very rarely. And if they try again, of course, it does happen because It's something that everybody can have as an experience. And so I really loved our conversation about love earlier. And it much has to do, and what we're speaking of now, it has a lot to do with simply being able to open up and trust and receive, and being willing to be guided.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because, we've got such a puritanical background on some level that it's easier to give than it is to receive. And yet you can't really live a balanced, holistic life that's harmonious unless you really give yourself the love and permission to not just always be giving and receiving. So I've had a lot of clients, and I know you have probably too, particularly with relationships, that they're very disappointed that they feel that they're giving and 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 they're giving so much love and they're giving so much time and, all this other stuff. And they don't feel that they're receiving it back on some level. And yet there's another piece of that says, well, if you really understood yourself on some level, on some really deep, profound level, which obviously you receive that through a past life regression experience, you would know that you're probably over giving. It doesn't mean you're selfish. You're serving your own soul. And then you can have more balance and harmony and really in the magnetic field, draw in a relationship that's more compatible, balanced, more holistic on some level that's serving the soul of the relationship. So do you think people get confused with if I give, whether it's time, money, energy, a lot of sex, whatever, is there a misconception there, do you think?
Most definitely. And the misconception is that if I overgive, now I have earned it. Now I deserve to receive it. In other words, the fear is that if I don't earn it, I'm not worthy of it, right? I don't deserve to receive it. And of course, it's not true. Your very existence, the very existence of your desire for that which you want, be it money, be it a relationship, be it whatever, is the reason enough for you to receive what you want. Because remember, God put you here on earth out of the sheer love for you. In other words, before you were created, God saw your worth, your validity, your value as a soul. So your value and your worth is already given. It's in the very fact, the proof of it is in the very fact that you exist. So from there on, every desire that you have is worthy of it being met. It's just that, you got to receive that truth, right, rather than chase after so you can deserve the love that you desire, be it financial, be it emotional, be it whatever. And there eventually comes a time when when I hope through inner work, be it through regression, be it through doing a session with Johanna, with you, or be it through whatever tools you use, you come to the declaration that you are enough, that you're worthy, that you're valuable. And then the next step is to really understand that by giving, you receive, and by receiving, you give. Because think about it. If your lover is, never able to receive anything you offer, you feel so unmet. And that's exactly what you're doing to them when you overgive, when you're the one who always does everything, as opposed to allowing them to step in, feel their creativity, feel their heart opening, and be divine in the expression of supporting you. And then, just like you said, Johanna, eventually comes the time when you feel so balanced within you, so comfortable and easy in your own worth and your own sense of loving yourself, that naturally you're attracting a partner who is going to love the relationship into being. In other words, their intent is going to match your intent. But when you start off from a place of lack and needing to fill a gap and a void, you're going to attract a partner who is also working through a similar lack and void in their own experience.
That's true. And there's a law, the law of equals, which basically says like attracts like in the universe. We always hear opposite attracts, but I really feel, supporting what you're saying, that like energetically, you attract what you are. You really do. I know for myself, I was divorced for a long, long time, single for a long, long time. And, I dated, and finally I just said, not that I gave up and I wasn't mad at men or anything like that, but I just reached a point in my life that I said, I'm just going to surrender to the will of the divine. I'm also going to shift my consciousness in terms of my vision, my perception of my life with or without partnership. And that was that I would be okay aging gracefully. I had already been married. I had 2 children. I was divorced for 29 years. I love my work of service, loved where I was living, loved my friends, loved my social life. There really wasn't anything missing. And so I decided, I'm just going to surrender. And I remember waking up in the morning, Mira, and I was just so happy and wasn't angry. I wasn't upset. It was just, wow, this is just wonderful that I could live the rest of my life like this. 2 weeks later, the man that I'm married to right now showed up, who really was on some level vibrating at that same frequency, obviously desirous of a relationship, but pretty much, he didn't come with a lot of missing pieces. So we're pretty happy. And so that surrender was really kind of awe-inspiring, because I said, oh, universe, look what you just did. If you get out of your own way, you do your best work on some level. So I think the biggest reason that a lot of people have a hard time receiving love has to do with some kind of guilt. Do you think when they do their past life regression, are they really getting clear where that was, that soul origination point of where that guilt spilled forth to other lifetimes?
Very much so, definitely. And people usually talk about hate being the opposite of love. It's not, because in hate, what you're saying is, you should be loving me. I feel the pain of you being disconnected from me and not loving me, right? That's what a teenager is saying to their parent when they say, I hate you. But the true opposite of love is actually guilt, because in that guilt, we're saying, I'm not worthy of that which is already my essence. I'm not worthy of receiving the fullness of myself. And so, yes, I agree with you that guilt is something that we can so easily remove and let it go, and then open our arms as a little kid, just like little babies. They're so ready and willing and able to be loved, and return ourselves to that state of just owning our lovability, which ultimately is not very hard.
Do you feel that when people are doing regression, I'm really curious about this, do we reincarnate into the same group of people that we had a past life experience with, and maybe there's some karma, which to me is just unfinished business that we need to complete? What does that look like? What is your experience with that?
Yes, people often tell me stories of, yes, here's my husband. Oh, and he's my partner in this life too. And here's my child. It was my this and that in this other life. And so the idea being is that we connect with those lives where our connection is relevant to what we're going through. So people become aware of those connections we've had with those souls in other lifetimes. And of course, love always continues to bring us together life after life, just because, it's so good to be together.
Yeah, and I think in a lot of lifetimes, it may not have been bad. You may have just want to repeat, push the repeat button on something really good. So for those of you that are listening, we have been speaking with Mira Kelley today. She is really amazing with her past life regression work. She's well known around the globe. And her book is called Beyond Past Lives. You can find her on Amazon.com. You can find her once again at her website, which is Mira, MiraKelley.com. So Mira, we want to thank you for being here. We're going to chat a little bit about our show, and hopefully we'll have you back again and we'll talk more about past lives. But thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I loved our conversation.
Me too. So this is Johanna Carroll. We're on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, and we want you to know that Dialogue with Divinity has been on the air for 9 years, and we're so thrilled to be part of this network. If you'd like to know the schedule of our show or other shows that are on the network, you can find that at xzbn.com. For myself personally, you can find all my information regarding books, retreats, teachings, radio shows, and more than you want to know at johannacarroll.com. So we want to thank you very much for listening. Please join us once again, and make sure you check out the X-Zone Broadcast Network, because it has a lot to offer you for your heart and soul. Sending your heart a hug and thanking you so much for joining us today. Many blessings to you and your world.